Hello guys, I'm back again. I wanted to go over pages 290 and 291 that you worked on yesterday. So page 290 at the top is called Finding an Unknown Dimension. So the first problem, we're basically going to be exploring different ways to find one dimension of a rectangular prism whose dimensions are not always whole numbers. So we're still working with fractions again. But the problem tells us that the volume of water in an aquarium is 1,150 cubic inches. The base of the aquarium is a square with edge length 10 inches. What is the height of the water in the aquarium? So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the picture, you can see the sketch of the water in the aquarium. You see that the base is a square, so it's 10 inches by 10 inches. But then the height is the side length is more of a rectangle, okay? Because it says that it's a rectangular prism. So the base is a square, 10 inches by 10 inches, but this side is a rectangle. So it's a height. We don't know the height, but now we know the total volume that's in there. So we're still using the same formula. We worked a lot with equations and being able to find an unknown number, right? We worked a lot with the equations and finding unknown numbers. So we can do this. It's not a problem. So it says you can model the volume of water with the equation volume equals length times width times height, or volume equals base times height. Okay, now the reason why they threw in base times height is because it's a square. So the base of this square is 10 times 10 because that's the base of it. Okay, so they're saying that the base is 100. In the formula, volume equals base times height. B represents the area of the base of the prism. So it's the area of this base right here. Okay, to find the area of the base, you multiply 10 inches by 10 inches and you get 100 square inches. All right, so let's look at number 9. It says, explain how the formulas volume equals length times width times height and volume equals base times height are alike. Well, we just talked about that in this problem right here. Okay, so the reason why they're the same is because the volume equals length times the width times the height is, the volume is 1,150, which equals 10 times 10 times height. So you can use the volume, the length times width times height. That's the standard formula for volume. But they're saying that you can also use base times height because you can take the area of the entire base and then multiply it by the height. So you'd have to find the area of the base first, not just the one number in the base. All right, number 10 says, describe how to solve the equation 1,150 equals 100 times h for h. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've done this before. We've solved. So when you are solving an equation, just like when we were working with equations before, you have this equation like this. Now, you have to solve using the opposite operation. So what is the opposite of multiplication? The opposite of multiplication is division. So you have to divide both sides by 100. Okay? So when you divide both sides by 100, you're going to be able to cross out the one side and you're going to get h on one side, and then you have 1,150 divided by 100. Okay, so this is where our fraction is going to come into play. Okay, so 100 cannot go into 1, 100 cannot go into 11, 100 can go into 115 one time, minus 100, then we get 150. So 100 can go into 150 one time, and then we have 50 left over. Okay, so you could obviously take this out to a decimal and you would get 11. if you took it out to a decimal, you'd add your decimal point onto the end over here, and you drop your 0 down and you'd have 500. So then it would be 11 and 5/10 with a decimal point. But right now, if you don't, your remainder becomes your numerator, and then your divisor out here becomes your denominator. So you would have 11 and 50 over 100, or 11 and 1/2. If you did the decimal point too, you would know that 11 and 5/10 is 11 and 1/2. So our answer is 11 and 1/2. So number 11 wants you to find the height of the water in the aquarium. It's 11 and 1/2 inches. Okay, then number 12 says, suppose you know that the height of the water in the aquarium is 11 and 1/2 inches. The length is 10 inches, and the volume is 1,150 cubic inches. Write the equation you might use to solve, to find the width of the aquarium. So again, you know the volume is 1,150. You know that the length is 10 times W, because you don't know W, times 11 and 1/2. So you could use this formula right here. This is the equation that you could use to solve. That's all it wants you to do for number 12 is write the equation. So this is what you would have for number 12. Okay, number 13. Look back at how you found the volume of the sand in the sandbox. Compare finding the volume with finding the height of the water on these pages. How are the two processes differently? Well, if we went back to the sandbox problem, you would remember that the sandbox that we had, we just took and we multiplied the numbers for the volume. When we were solving for the volume, we took 5 times 4 times 2.5. Okay? Then when we're solving for the missing height, we knew what the volume was, and then we multiplied 10 times 10 times h. So here's your two different equations that you use to solve. In the first one, we just multiplied straight across to find the volume. Here, we have to multiply the two numbers that we know and then divide the volume by that total. Okay, so that's how you would explain number 13. Now, number 14 and 15 are your exit tickets for today. So we will give you a quick little video tomorrow and give you the answers for your exit ticket. So we're not going to go over those right now. So that's the end of this video, and then I will give you another video instructing you on what we're doing today.